This is Michelle, and this is my first test of my oxtail rice burger. And so for this first attempt, I'm going to be using oxtails, of course, and these ones happen to be thinly sliced, so we'll see how much meat is on those. We also have, of course, mirepoix minus the celery, because celery is not a real vegetable. We have onions, carrots, and some chopped garlic. Then we also have some spices, garlic powder, paprika, Creole seasoning, salt and pepper, of course, and then we're going to be cooking it all in beef broth. Also behind me, we have a rice cooker cooking the rice, and so we'll see how it goes. So the first step to this recipe is to sear the oxtails. You want to sear them till they're a nice golden brown, and make sure you do all of them, and don't overcrowd the pan or else they won't brown properly. Step 2 of the recipe, we're going to go ahead and add in the onions and garlic to start with. Oops, a carrot fell in. And I'm doing these first because they do take a little bit longer to kind of cook down. And I'm cooking the mirepoix because I want to give the overall braise a deeper flavor than it would be if I just added in the raw onions and everything. Okay, and then once you've added in the carrots, go ahead and season with the seasonings I used before. I'll go ahead and put that in the description below. But then you want to add back in the oxtails. And any juice. Make sure they're all kind of flat against the bottom. And then you want to add in 2 cups of beef broth. You don't have to completely submerge it, but most of it should be covered in liquid, at least 2/3 of the way up all the oxtails. A little bit more. Good, and once you've gotten to here, you want to bring it up to a simmer and then cover. Okay, so the other important part of my recipe is the rice burger bun. So for that, I just cooked rice normally in a rice cooker, 1 part water, 1 part rice, and I'm going to take like balls of rice. They're already kind of like stuck together, but I want to make it into like a burger shape. I don't want it to be too thick, but also I want it to like hold up and be substantial. I'm gonna try a few without any binders in it and just hope the gluten in the rice works, but if it doesn't, I'll try egg yolks. Okay, so for the first rice patty, I'm just trying it in a nonstick pan with some oil. The oil is quite warm, and so I'm just going to attempt to basically fry it. So it's quite wet. That's something I took into account, but I didn't really take into account. So I'm gonna let this cook for a minute and then come back. Okay, so it's been cooking for about a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a flip. It is doing what I expected and building a crust on the top. Hopefully I build that crust on the bottom. It'll be sturdy enough to hold a burger. So it's finished cooking for another minute, so it's 2 minutes in total. And I'll go ahead and take it off the heat. So as you can see, it's crispy on both sides, very warm on both sides. I'll go ahead and give it a sprinkle of salt. And so far from first observations, both sides are crispy. The middle does lack some integrity, so I do have to work on kind of squishing the middle together. But these parts are holding together really well, so I think with a bit more practice, this method could work. So for the oxtails, it's been about, I would say 3 hours that they braised at a simmer. And at this point, it looks, pretty similar to when it went in, but now the meat is very tender, fall off the bone. If I just like lightly poke it with a fork, it'll fall off the bone. And if you look at it, I can just squish it with my fingers. That's about as done as I want it cooked. So I'm going to let this completely cool down, and then I'm going to shred it and hold it aside. So this is gonna be the end of my recipe testing today. I have the method I want to use for the rice burgers and the time to cook the oxtails down. I do want to infuse a bit more flavor into the oxtails, so that's just adding some more seasonings into the braise. I also need to work on the collard green chips that I want to serve with this rice burger, and I need a sauce for the burger. So thank you for joining me, and bye.